Hello children, this is the 7th program of this series of practical questions. In this program, we have to create a CSV file by entering the user ID and password. Then we have to read and print the password for a given user ID. That means we have to enter a user ID and we have to search for it in the file and print its corresponding password. So in this program has been divided into two functions, write file and the read file function. The write file function, in this function we will be creating a CSV file and writing records to it. In the read file function we will be entering a user ID to be searched and search for that user ID in the CSV file which has already been created. If it is found, then its corresponding password will be printed, otherwise it will print user ID not found. So let us begin. For CSV files, we have to first import the CSV module. I am going to increase the size a little so that all of you can see. So, write file is the name of the function. F equals to open student.csv. All CSV files have to be given an extension .csv. It has to be opened in the write mode. Now we all know the use of the new line function. It is used to overwrite all internal translations of the new line character. In different operating systems, the new line character is different. The end of the line character is different. If I simply write new line equals to none, like this, in single quotes, you don't have to give anything. Then it will override the new line character. Otherwise, what it will do, while writing to a file, it will automatically append one line at a time. So this is how we are going to open a new file student.csv in the write mode and attach it to the file object F. Now using the CSV writer, this CSV writer, we take this F as argument here and it returns a writer object. So the writer object is taken as SOBJ here. Now using this writer object, we are going to write one row into the file using the write row function. So first of all, the headings are to be given. So we are giving the headings in the form of a list, user ID, comma, password. These are the elements of the list. The first row is written into the CSV file. Now we have created another list, REC, an empty list. This is a nested list with each element storing one record. That means user ID and password of the first person will be stored as the first element of this list. Then user ID and password of the second person will be stored as the second element of this list. So it is a nested list. Now starts the while loop. While true, use UID equals to input, enter user ID, PWD equals to input, enter password. So we have entered these two. Now this list equals to UID comma password. We are just initializing the list variable to the values UID and password. And record.append, the outer list, this nested list which we have created is going to append this inner list. So the first record is being appended into it. Now CH is the choice variable. Do you want to enter more records? Yes or no? If choice equals to no, if I don't want to enter, then we have to break. Otherwise it will be an infinite loop. We have to give this. If we are going to enter yes, then it is going to again take UID. It will again initialize it in LST and then another record will be appended in the list REC. This is how it is going to take place. Outside this loop, we are going to check for I in REC. For I in REC, SOBJ equals to write row. So this is how we are going to write the rows one by one into the file. SOBJ is the object, the writer object through which we are going to write one row. Two methods can be used. Either we write one record at a time or we write all the records together. For that we require the write rows function. We can do that, and if we want one record to be written at a time, then we use the for loop like this and use the write row function. And after this I am simply closing f.close. So this function is going to create a CSV file known as student.csv and which will be storing the various records of user ID and password. Now I am going to open the file in read mode. So another function is being made, read file. F equals to open, the same file is opened in read mode. CSV reader object is being created here. S object and f is being passed as parameter. Now we are entering the enter user ID to be searched. Suppose I have entered in the variable UID and I have declared found equals to 0 in the beginning. Found will be changed to 1 only when I find the user ID in the record. For D in SOBJ, so SOBJ is going to do what? It is going to read all records for D in SOBJ. That means the first record is being stored in D. If D at position 0, that means the first element of the first record, which is the user ID. If it is equal to the UID which we have entered, then print D at position 1. That means print its password and make found equals to 1 and break. If it is found. If it is not found, it will again go in the for loop. It will look for the second record and check whether the user ID is the same or not. If the user ID matches with the UID which we have entered, only then found will become 1 and it will print the password and break. If it is not so, it will come out of this for loop and found will remain 0. If found remains 0, then we have to print user ID not present and then the file is to be closed. So these two functions are being called here using these two statements, write file and read file. Let us save this program and run the module. So here, enter user ID. I am entering here 101. Enter password. Let me say truth. This is the password. Want to enter more records? Yes. Enter user ID 102. Password is success. Want to enter more? Yes. Enter user ID 103. Password is welcome. Enter more records? Yes. Enter user ID 104. Password is people. Want to enter more? No. So I have entered 4 records here. Enter user ID to be searched. Now you know that 101, 102, 103, 104 are written over here. How do we check whether they are there or not? So now what we are going to do? We are going to enter a user ID to be searched. Let me say as 103. So the password here is welcome. That means it is running properly. This is how our program runs. Now let us run this program once again for a user ID which does not exist. So I will run this program again. Let me say user ID 101. 101. I have entered here the same user ID which I entered earlier and the password. Want to enter more? Yes. User ID 102. I am just entering 2 records now. Want to enter more? No. Enter user ID to be searched. Suppose now I enter 104. See, it is written user ID not present. That means since there are only 2 records, 104 does not exist. That means our program is running correctly. I hope everybody has understood this program. You can have a good look at it. This is how we write to a CSV file and read and search into a CSV file. Thank you, children.